Hello friends, I am Professor Abul Fazal, Assistant Professor and HOD of History at Islamia College Autonomous Vaniambadi. I am very happy to make a presentation on Ashokan edicts with the viewpoint of UGC NetSet exams. Actually, UGC NetSet exam requires you to have an in-depth knowledge of every aspect of our syllabus. Hence, I have taken a minute aspect, Ashokan edicts, and I would like to talk to you elaborately on this topic. I hope this presentation of mine would be of much help and use to you. So let's go into the presentation. We all know Ashoka was the third Mauryan ruler and he ruled from 268 to 238 before Christ. Ashoka, after the Kalinga War in 261 BC, had a big transformation in his life. He became a peaceful pacifist. He adopted Buddhism. He formulated a policy called as the Dhamma, a religious policy, a ethical policy, and the remaining part of his life he dedicated to propagate his Dharma. For propagation of his Dharma, he formulated edicts and inscribed these edicts in various parts of his empire. 50 years after the death of Ashoka, the Mauryan Empire declined. Once the Mauryan Empire declined, slowly his inscriptions also disappeared. People, as time passed on, forgot the Brahmi script in which these inscriptions and edicts were written. Some 2000 years later, nobody knew about Ashoka. At this juncture in 19th century, a British scholar, James Prinsep, he once again deciphered the Brahmi script. He learned how to read this Brahmi script in 1837. Once he learned how to study the Brahmi script, he started collecting inscriptions and thereby the Ashokan inscriptions got life once again. And the history of Ashoka also came to light. James Prinsep has to be credited once again because in none of these inscriptions Ashoka is referred to as Ashoka. He is referred to as King Piyadasi. It was James Prinsep who said King Piyadasi in these inscriptions refers to Ashoka in the Sri Lankan chronicles Deepa Vamsa and Mahavamsa, and thereby the life of Ashoka got a fillip once again. Edicts of Ashoka are really important records for they are the most oldest records available for Indian history. These inscriptions of Ashoka are classified into 14 major rock edicts. These major rock edicts are nothing but the policy of Ashoka, the Dhamma policy of Ashoka inscribed in different parts of his empire. These 14 edicts, a set of 14 edicts, all these edicts were about his ethical policy, his moral policy, And these edicts were inscribed in rocks in different parts of his empire. So that is the first classification, 14 major rock edicts. The second classification is minor rock edicts. These minor rock edicts again dealt about his policies, and they were significant for various reasons. The seven pillar edicts, that is the third classification. And this classification refers to the pillars erected by Ashoka in different parts of his empire. Most of these pillars had edicts inscribed in them. Actually, the pillar edicts are seven. Only one pillar, the pillar which is at Delhi now, brought to Delhi from Topara in Haryana, has all the seven edicts inscribed in them. All the other pillars have the six edicts inscribed in them. These edicts again speak about Ashoka's policy, Ashoka's ethical, moral, Dhamma policy. After this pillar edict, seven pillar edicts, we have minor pillar edicts. Then we have northern edicts. We have Sannatai minor rock edicts. And at last we have post-Mauryan inscriptions which talk about Mauryan Empire but are not directly connected with Ashoka. So these are the major classification of Ashokan inscriptions. I request you to have a clear understanding of this classification. So I repeat once again. Ashokan inscriptions are classified into 14 major rock edicts, minor rock edicts, 7 pillar edicts, minor pillar edicts, northern edicts, Sannatai minor rock edicts, and post-Mauryan inscriptions. These are the 14 edicts found in the major rock edicts. So these 14 instructions were carved as a set, were inscribed as a set in different parts of the empire in rocks, and we have to have a knowledge of these edicts because from the exam point of view, it is very important for us to know which edict speaks about what. So this slide would give you an understanding about the subject matter of his 14 major rock edicts. Edict 1 talks about prohibition of animal sacrifice and festive gatherings. Edict 2 talks about medical missions sent to land of Cholas, Pandyas, Satyaputras, Keralaputras, and also about planting of medicinal herbs and trees and digging of wells. Edict 3 speaks about the orders issued to the officials to tour the empire and propagate Dhamma. Edict 4 talks about sound of drums becoming the sound of Dhamma. Edict 5 talks about institution of Dhamma Mahamatras, special officers to propagate Dhamma. Edict 6 talks about relationship between the king, people and Mahamatras. Edict 7 talks about toleration, the necessity of toleration. Edict 8 talks about Dhammayatas are tours to propagate Dhamma. Edict 9 talks about declaration of ceremonies as useless, and Edict 10 denounces fame and glory. Edict 11 talks about the Dhamma. It explains the various aspects of the Dhamma. Edict 12 talks about toleration among all sects of people. Edict 13 talks about Kalinga War. And Edict 14 talks about the necessity of inscribing of these edicts throughout the country. An upsurge of interest in Indology, that is study of India in 19th century, made people to search for inscriptions and other evidences, other material evidences that are found for studying history of India. And especially after James Prinsep deciphered the Brahmi script and came to know about Ashokan inscriptions, there was a search in various places for the inscriptions of Ashoka. In different parts of India, we have found in the 19th and early 20th century inscriptions of Ashoka in various forms. The major rock edicts, they have been found in several places. Two of these edicts are found in Pakistan. In Pakistan, in a place called as Manshara, in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa state, you have all the 14 edicts inscribed on a rock, and the speciality of this inscription is these edicts are that they are written in Kharosti script. Kharosti script is written from right to left. So in Pakistan, in one place called as Manshara, we have Ashokan major rock edicts, and another place again in Pakistan called as Shabasgari in Mardan district in northwest frontier province of Pakistan, we again find all the 14 edicts of Ashoka inscribed. And again, these 14 edicts are also written in Kharosti script. It is very important to note that these two inscriptions are the only inscriptions that have been written in Kharosti script. So totally in 8 places we find the rock edicts of Ashoka inscribed. There could have been more places where it has been inscribed and where we have the rocks, but we have discovered 8 places where these rock edicts of Ashoka are inscribed. 2 of them are in Pakistan and the remaining 6 are in India. In India, we have all the 14 edicts inscribed in a rock in a place called as Kalsi in Dehradun district of Uttarakhand. Again, in Gujarat, in a place called as Girnar in Junagadh district, we have all the 14 edicts inscribed in rocks. And this Girnar edicts were supposed to be discovered by Colonel James Todd. And again in Maharashtra state, in Palghar district, in a place called as Sopara, you have the Ashokan edicts inscribed, and here it is said that they have the 8th and 9th rock edict alone. Again, in Orissa, in a place called as Dauli in Kardo district, we have the 1 to 10 and the 14th rock edict available. Again, in Jaugada, in Kanjam district of Orissa, we have 1 to 10 and the 14th rock edict available. In Andhra Pradesh, at Erragudi, in Anantapur district, we have all the major rock edicts 1 to 14 present. So these are the 8 different locations where we have the major rock edicts, the 14 rock edicts found in these places. So we already said that 2 edicts, Manshera and Shabasgari, were written in Kharoshthi script. All the other inscriptions have been written in Brahmi script. In this major rock edicts of the 8, except 2, all the others have been written in Brahmi script. But the language of all the 8 edicts seems to be Prakrit. Go to minor rock edicts. These minor rock edicts are said to be 4 in number, and they are considered to be earlier than the major rock edicts. These minor rock edicts have been inscribed in different parts of India in rocks, and in some places they are available, all the edicts are available, while in some places they are there in fragments. In Rajasthan, in a place called as Bairat, you have minor rock edicts inscribed. In Madhya Pradesh, these rock edicts, minor rock edicts, are inscribed in 2 places, Rupnath and Gujara. In Karnataka, you have many places like Brahmagiri, Jatinga Gavimat, Siddhapura, Maski and Palkigundu, where you have these inscriptions inscribed. In Uttar Pradesh, you have the minor rock edicts inscribed in a place called as Akhraura. In Andhra Pradesh, in 2 places, Rajula Mandagiri and Erragudi, we have minor rock edicts inscribed. In Bihar, in a place called as Shasaram, we have minor rock edict inscribed. Among these rock edicts, Maski edict is a very important edict. Maski edict found in Karnataka is a very important edict because it is the only edict which mentions the name of Ashoka. In all the other inscriptions, he is referred to as Devanam Piya Piyadisi. But in Maski edict, his name is referred as Ashoka. Again, one more important minor rock edict is the Bhairath edict in Rajasthan. This Bhairath edict in Rajasthan was discovered by Captain Burt, and he shifted it to the Asiatic Society of Bengal in Calcutta. Then it came to be called as Calcutta Bhairath, or also called as Babru edict. So these are some of the important minor rock edicts of Ashoka. Next, we will move to the 7 pillar edicts of Ashoka. Actually, 7 pillar edicts refers to the 7 edicts prepared by Ashoka and inscribed in pillars in different parts of the country, the parts of the empire. These pillars pillars were highly polished stone pillars with a monolithic shaft and a capital. These pillars were noted for the shining polish of the stone. It is said that many people mistook these stones for metals. These stones were polished to such an extent that they resembled metals. This denotes how sophisticated the people of the Ashokan Empire were. Again, these edicts speak about Ashoka's religious or ethical or moral policy. These edicts are important from exam point of view, for there could be questions on which edict speaks about which subject matter. So edict 1 talks about love of morality. Edict 2, pillar edict 2 talks about compassion, liberality, truthfulness and purity. Edict 3 talks about disregard for fierceness, cruelty, anger, pride and envy. Pillar edict 4 talks about responsibility of his rural officers in propagating his dharma. Pillar edict 5 talks about restrictions on animal and bird sacrifice. Pillar edict 6 again describes his dharma. Pillar edict 7 describes about self-control and purity of mind. These 7 pillar edicts have been inscribed in pillars in several parts of Ashoka's empire. We have till date identified 6 pillars carrying the pillar edicts of Ashoka. The first important pillar edict is the Delhi Topara edict. Actually, this pillar was standing in Topra Kalan in Haryana. It was Firoz Shah who shifted this pillar to Delhi, and now it stands at the 3-storied citadel of Firoz Shah at Firoz Shah Kotla in Delhi. The most important significant thing about this Delhi Topara pillar is that this is the only pillar which has all the 7 pillar edicts of Ashoka inscribed in it. So the next important pillar edict is important pillar carrying the pillar edicts of Ashoka is the Delhi Meerut pillar. This Delhi Meerut pillar was originally found in Meerut in Uttar Pradesh. Again, this pillar was moved to Delhi by Firoz Shah Tughlaq, and it contains 6 edicts, and the last 2 lines of the 6th edict have been given to British Museum as a fragment. The third important pillar edict is the third important pillar carrying the edicts of Ashoka is the Allahabad pillar. This Allahabad pillar is originally said to have been in Kausambi, but later it has been shifted to Allahabad and stands in the fort of Allahabad. This pillar carries the first six pillar edicts of Ashoka. And apart from these 6 pillar edicts, it also carries 2 more edicts of Ashoka. One is the Kausambi Schism edict, which speaks about Ashoka's concern for unity in Buddhist Sangha or Buddhist church. And another edict, you call it as Ashok Queen's Edict, an edict of Ashoka. So totally, apart from the 6 pillar edicts, there are 2 more Ashokan edicts in this Allahabad pillar. Apart from Ashoka's edicts, this Allahabad pillar also carries one inscription of Samudragupta and one inscription of Mughal Emperor Jahangir. The next pillar is Lauriya Araraja from East Champaran district in Bihar. This pillar contains 6 edicts, 6 pillar edicts inscribed in it. This Lauriya Araraj pillar is said to have had the Garuda as the capital. Capital is every pillar had at its top some animal figurines on the top of the pillar, which we call it as capital. So this Lauriya Araraj is said to have had Garuda as its capital. Lauriya Nandangarh is another pillar which is in West Champaran district of Bihar. This Lauriya Nandangarh pillar also has 6 pillar edicts of Ashoka. The capital of Lauriya Nandangarh pillar was Lion. The last pillar edict is the Rampurva pillar edict from West Champaran district, Bihar. Again, this Rampurva pillar has 6 edicts of Ashoka and a lion as capital. Actually, this pillar had fallen into water and later it was recovered and replaced. So these are the 6 important pillar edicts, and the most important among them is Delhi Topara because it is the only pillar which has all the 7 pillar edicts inscribed into them. We shall move to minor pillar edicts. These minor pillar edicts speak about different subjects. First 3 minor pillar edicts, one at Sarnath, the other at Sanchi, and another one at Kausambi, they are called as schism edicts. Actually, in this edicts, Ashoka speaks about unity of the Buddhist Sangha, and he also ensures that any person who indulges in dividing the Buddhist Sangha or the Buddhist church should be expelled from the Sangha. So these are 3 minor pillar edicts. So one at Sarnath in Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh, the second at Sanchi in Raisan district of Madhya Pradesh, and another one is Kausambi. Actually, the Kausambi edict is now inscribed in Allahabad pillar inscription along with the 6 pillar edicts. Even Kausambi edict is there. So these 3 edicts, they call it as the schism edicts. We all know about the importance of Sarnath pillar edict. Actually, the Sarnath pillar edict had the capital as 4 lions seated on opposite directions, which has been taken as the national emblem of India. So apart from these minor pillar edicts, there was one edict called as Queen's Edict. It This Queen's Edict speaks about where Ashoka instructs the officers to record all donations and public works of second queen Karubahi in her name. This is called as Queen's Edict, and this Queen's Edict is a minor pillar edict. It is now inscribed in the Allahabad pillar along with 6 pillar edicts and the Schism Edict of Kaushambi, and this edict is also there along with Samudragupta's inscription and Jahangir's inscription. Apart from these 4 edicts, there is one more pillar edict which is called as Lumbini pillar, and another pillar edict called as Nigali Sagar pillar. Lumbini and Nigali Sagar are 2 different places in Nepal, and these 2 inscriptions are called as commemorative inscriptions. These inscriptions record the visit of Ashoka to these places. The Nigali Sagar inscription edict also records, the Nigali Sagar pillar also has an edict which says that he visited Nigali Sagar. Apart from that, it also talks about the expansion or enlargement of stupa at Buddha Konakmana. Stupa of Buddha Konakmana. So these are minor pillar edicts. So again, the subject matter of all these pillar edicts can be a subject of question in UGC NET exam. Hence, we are talking about this. 2 inscriptions of Ashoka are very important from the exam point of view. They are sometimes called as the Northern Edicts. These inscriptions are found in Pakistan and Afghanistan. The first one is found in Taxila in Pakistan. The importance of this inscription is it is written in Aramic script and in Aramic language. So we already know that most of Ashokan inscriptions discovered so far have been written in Brahmi script and in Brahmi language, Brahmi script and in Prakrit language, except the 2 at Pakistan. The Manshera Major Rock Edict and Shabasgari Major Rock Edict, they were written in Kharosti script in Prakrit language. So the scripts used have been predominantly Brahmi. Kharosti has been used in 2 inscriptions found in Pakistan. Though Kharosti has been used, the language of those inscriptions have been Prakrit. And here in Taxila, we have an inscription of Ashoka written in Aramic script and in Aramic language. So this is a very important inscription, the inscription of Ashoka in Taxila. It is said to be a part of an octonal column, and this inscription was discovered by John Marshall in 1915. The other important inscription is the Kandahar inscription of Ashoka. This inscription is again important because it is a bilingual inscription. Bilingual in the sense 2 languages are used here. One is Greek and the other one is Aramic. And the script is Greek script and Aramic script. So again, this inscription is also important from the point of view of the language and script. So they stand apart as far as the language and the script are concerned in comparison to other inscriptions and edicts of Ashoka. This Kandahar inscription is found in a rock in Kandahar in Afghanistan. Hence, it is a very important inscription of Ashoka. The next important inscriptions are the cave inscriptions found in Barbara Hills and Nagarjuni Hills near Gaya in Bihar. This Barbara Hills has 4 caves. In these 4 caves, 3 caves bear inscriptions of Ashoka, and these 3 cave inscriptions in Barbara Hills speak about Ashoka dedicating them to Ajvikas. And in adjoining Nagarjuni cave, there are 3 inscriptions. There are 3 caves, and all the 3 caves bear inscriptions, and these inscriptions are said to be of Dasratha, grandson of Ashoka. And again, here the subject matter is these 3 caves have been dedicated to Ajvikas. So these cave inscriptions are important as they have been dedicated to Ajvikas by Ashoka and his grandson Dasratha. We will next move into other inscriptions related with Ashoka. Sannatai minor rock edicts. There are 3 rock edicts found in Sannatai village, which is in Gulbarga district of Karnataka. This rock edicts are considered and definitely of Ashokan edicts. Again, very recently in Afghanistan, in a place called as Lamhan, an inscription has been discovered which is said to be connected with Ashoka. The inscription resembles Ashokan inscriptions. Likewise, another copper plate inscription called as Shohara copper plate inscription has been discovered, and it is also believed that it could be of the period of Ashoka. There is another inscription called as Mahastan inscription of Bogra district in Bangladesh. This inscription is definitely of 3rd century BC. This inscription instructs the officials to help people, and again this inscription, though it is not directly of Ashokan inscription, it belongs to the period of Ashoka. So these are some of the other inscriptions which are related to Ashoka, on which research is going on. So these inscriptions are also very relevant and useful inscriptions. So we have listed in this presentation the various inscriptions of Ashoka, the edicts of Ashoka, and we have also spoken about how this would be useful to us from the exam point of view. I thank you all for patiently listening to this presentation, and I hope this would be of use for your preparation. Thank you and best of luck for your examinations. Thank you. Thank you all for your patient listening. Hope this presentation was useful to you. Best of luck for your examination. Thank you.